TV7 Sports presents the Ben Davis Sports Talk Show from the TV7 studios south of Auburn. And now, here's your host of the Ben Davis Sports Talk Show, Greg Vick.
Good morning and welcome to the studios of WIFF for another edition of the Ben Davis Sports Talk Show. Well, the DeKalb Baron football program continued to roll through another season, and they did it superbly well as they defeated the Carroll Chargers last night at Carroll High School to cap off their third straight undefeated regular season. And some of the component parts of that program are with us here this morning. Head coach Ron Cook, and he's brought on some of the underclass members of his program as we've really emphasized the seniors the last few weeks and had, I think, a dozen of them on about 3 weeks ago. And with us this morning are a pair of sophomores and a junior who have also contributed greatly to the success of this DeKalb Baron football program. And to my far right is Nick Schumann. He's the lone junior. And to my left, a pair of sophomores, Aaron Cook and also Shane Turner. Coach, congratulations not only on the win last night, but the many, many accomplishments of this football team for 1996, and going into the season being rated high, staying ranked high, and being the favorite virtually in all of your contests, and then for the young men to go out and perform the way they have, that's just outstanding.
We told them before the game and after the game, the one quality they've had is they've always been ready to play, and I think it's very difficult to go through any season, regardless of the sport or regardless of the talent you have, and obviously we have talented kids, and win every game. I mean, if you look, there are very few undefeated teams in any athletic event, Little League through high school, through college. These kids, it was kind of expected of them, which makes it might even make it all the tougher, but they went out and did it. I think they did it in convincing fashion, game in and game out, and weren't looking ahead, weren't looking behind, and I'm really proud of them.
Well, Ron, before we really throw out a lot of kudos in the direction, especially for seniors and the career that they've had, regular season and so forth, let's back it up a step. And sure, you've got a lot of good players, but people look at the DeKalb football program and say, well, they got good players this year and last year and the year before and next year and so forth. The coaching has to be in there someplace too, and I know you have a veteran staff, and some of the people that work with you have been with you for a while.
I think we definitely have coaches that work hard. But it's players. I mean, if you look at coaches in other programs, I think they work hard too. And we like to think maybe we help them, but the game's won on the field. Right.
And of course, it's a year-round commitment too. These young guys and even the veterans who have been through it for 4 years at the high school level, the conditioning and the weightlifting and all those other things that go on in the off season. I mean, it's virtually a year-round situation.
It's funny you say that, because I remember going around the locker room before the game, talking especially, the offensive line who I work with, and right before we were going out, I was saying, you guys have put in too much time, you've worked too hard, and when we say time, we're not talking about just this fall to, come up a game short, and we really did treat last night's game as a conference championship game. Going into that game, Carroll, they'd only lost one game on the field, so, if they were to beat us, I'm sure in their eyes they're conference champs, even though the 2 forfeits would have prevented them from, really claiming that. But they'd have said we had the same conference record as DeKalb, and we beat DeKalb. Homestead had to be hoping that we would lose last night. So, we treated it all week as though it was a conference championship game, and I think the kids played it that way.
Let's talk about, first of all, your senior class and the career that they've had, regular season. Of course, we got a new season starting next Friday, or at least starting Monday when you guys get back out there and practice. But this senior group has really been special, haven't they?
They really have. They came in maybe as an unnoticed group. They played behind a very good football team, and came in last year and really, I think, surprised a lot of people. Played exceptionally well, and they've just continued to do so. I think they're confident. They put a lot of hard work into it, and they have a lot of pride.
Of course, it's a team composite of sophomores, juniors, and seniors primarily, and this senior group, maybe compared to others, anything stand out as far as collective talent, not necessarily individual talent. You know, maybe some groups are blessed with more speed, and I think that certainly is going to be one of the categories to mention here. But certainly it's a team with an awful lot of focus. They like the physical part of the game. They're enthusiastic. Those would be some of the characteristics that come to mind for me.
Yeah, you know, when you said, you know, what do you think of them as a group? Probably speed, good athletic ability. And when we say that, you know, obviously you talk about Luke Barnett and Ryan Krieger, you know, Pat Pettijohn, but then you go to the line, and you know these guys will tell you that Matt McBriar runs awfully well, Rick Fry runs awfully well. So, you know, as a group, strength and speed probably.
All right, as we talk about some of the personnel that got it all done here, let's talk to the lone junior we have with us this morning. That's Nick Schumann. How you doing this morning there, Slick Nick?
Pretty good. How are you?
Well, I'm doing okay. I'm looking forward to this show each and every Saturday morning. Do you watch every Saturday morning?
No, usually I'm on the JV game.
Oh, that's right. You're usually getting ready for that, but you got in a little too much time last night to play JV today, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's talk. We were talking about the senior class, Nick. How about the junior class? What do you think their strengths are as a class? You've been with this class for a while.
Well, we have the line probably be pretty good next year too. I think the special areas, receivers, running backs, we'll have some talent there too. Not only from the junior class, but we have a lot of help from the sophomores too.
And something that also just stands out for me with the junior class, I think of the kickoff coverage. There's a lot of juniors that are flying down there getting the job done.
Yeah, on kickoff you just have to be a maniac really and just run down and run into the first guy you see. Hopefully it's a ball carrier.
So your mom and dad raised a maniac. Is that what you're trying to tell us?
Only on the football field.
Only on the football field. Only on Friday night. He's a real good kid. Those Monday through Friday in the classroom, right?
Yeah.
Always doing a good job. But I think of people now, you know, Justin Gallagher here lately has really been down there, and I think maybe he was a marked target last night. He didn't have as many kickoff tackles or get down there as much. But, you know, guys like you and Greco and Sunderland are juniors that come to mind that really get after the football on that special team.
Mm-hmm. We really hustle a lot down there at kickoff, and especially on the swarm. Sunderland ran down there and picked that one up for the onside. And
you look at the point after conversions. 2 of the 3 people there are juniors, right? And
yeah.
Tyler Cherry and Matt Hawkins. So for those PATs, last night they were 7 for 7. So you know So I think you hit the nail on the head there. Special teams are dotted with a lot of juniors. Well, let's talk to these sophomores over here. We've got Aaron Cook as well as Shane Turner. And how you doing this morning there, Mr. Cook?
I'm pretty good. It was early in the morning, but I'm doing pretty good.
Well, you ended up with some full-time duty last night in that ball game because you're a starter along with Jesse Garrett as you guys bring plays in at that offensive tackle spot. And then as you get into that fourth quarter and the Barons have done their thing and they're ahead by whatever, 4, 5, 6 touchdowns or so forth, and then kind of the second liners come in or the younger guys, and you kind of have to stay out there, and you get double pay for that.
Yeah, well, Jesse and I are the first-year guys on the line, so we have to stay out there, and we don't mind that. We enjoy that.
So at the end of the ball game, were you pretty tired?
No more tired than usual, really.
Yeah.
It was just enjoying it.
Another day at the office,
Yeah.
right?
Uh-huh.
Picked up your paycheck from this guy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Does he feed you well over the weekend?
Yeah, I get pretty good food.
Okay. And if he doesn't, then you just go begging to mom, right?
Yeah.
And she's the one who taught you all the football skills anyway?
Oh, a little bit from mom, a little bit from dad.
A little bit from mom
Yeah.
and a little bit from dad. Okay. I'm sitting between the 2 cooks here, so we'll keep the peace here in the family. Let's let Shane talk here a little bit for a minute. Sophomore, and nicknamed him Lightning in American World. And how you doing today?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm doing just fine. Looking forward to a great show, and so far we're off to a good start, don't you think?
Yep.
Tell us about the sophomore class, Shane. What do you think?
We got a pretty good sophomore class. We've got some speed on the sophomore class, and we've got some big guys for on the line.
Well, we're
Pretty
looking
good.
at some speed there, and big guy. I assume that's what
Yeah.
you meant.
Yeah.
Okay. Unless he's got the speed, and you're not going to be a lineman next year, are you?
No.
Oh, probably not. Shane, you got a little dinged up in practice here about week and a half or so ago.
Yep.
Slight concussion, I guess. What's the status now, and when will you be back?
I should start practicing this week and get back in the swing of things. So.
Okay, well, we wish you the best there.
Thanks.
Ron, you're talking about the Carroll Chargers and how important it was to get off to a good start last night. Of course, running back the opening kickoff really helps matters, but Carroll has been kind of a thorn in recent years, haven't they?
Yeah, and again, it's something we talked about all week. I think for the past 3 years, we've gone into Carroll, and for whatever reason, we've struggled. And part of the reason is they've had some good football teams, but we talked all week. We wanted to go out and look good against Carroll, which we haven't been able to do. We've been fortunate enough to win against Carroll, but we haven't looked good. And it's kind of ironic. We kept talking about getting off to a good start, being sharp, and Ryan Krieger takes the opening kickoff and returns it. And those kinds of things are just momentum builders and confidence builders. And I think that's the second time this year Ryan started the game with a kick return. I think it's the third time he's returned a kick for a touchdown, which is pretty amazing. But we jumped on him early. I think we got off to a 35-0 lead, and that was real important because kind of ironic. You think, well, you're up 35-0. You must be playing a poor team. But Carroll impressed me. They played hard. The hitting was hard. I felt good seeing those points on the board.
Well, and I did too. And because DeKalb was playing against forget the pun, but a charged-up Carroll ball club playing at home, and it was their senior night and all that. Plus, new coach, new system, and Mike Chevron. I talk to the opponent's coach each and every week, and he knows football. 8 years over at Northrop and a couple years assistant at Carroll, so he knows the players. And I think he and his program are going to be a factor in years coming.
Oh, there's any doubt about it. They've got good players coming. If you look at their program, they always have very tough middle school teams, ninth grade teams. He's a quality person, so that's a program that's going to just keep getting better and better.
They gave you kind of an interesting package last night for your defense. And I know Mike Cocker's not with us here this morning, but and we'll talk to Nick a little bit on this. But you were looking at a run and shoot set up, double slots, and then they took the lone running back and put him in motion. And then in some situations, he had 5 receivers, decent receivers, good receivers in some cases, really flooding against your defense. And that was kind of a load for Mike and the defense, wasn't it?
It spreads you all over the field. And, you can talk to Nick about it here. He had the first-hand experience with it last night. But, when they do that, the one thing that they don't have is they don't have any protection for the quarterback. And that's probably what the defense took advantage of. Their quarterback threw the ball well, and he completed some balls, but I think he paid he paid the price for throwing 39 times in one game. And I think that my personal opinion is when you leave the quarterback back there with no backs and pass protection, you're leaving that quarterback open to a beating, and that quarterback did take a beating last night.
Nick, what was the feeling from the defensive perspective last night? Did they feel they could draw a beat on the quarterback pretty often?
Yeah, I think the front four knew that they had to get in there to help out the defensive backs a little bit and just keep pounding away at them.
And that made your job easier in the secondary. You were in there last night, and I think you knew you were going to see a lot of action this week in the nickelback package, giving the Barons an extra, defensive back, and you were that 5th defensive back. But so to help your job out, the guys up front had to at least put some pressure on.
Yeah.
And Barons ended up, I think, with 5 interceptions last night. Did you come close to any?
I guess I came close to some, but yeah.
A little tougher for you. I mean, in your situation, you were right where the play needed to be, and you made an awful lot of tackles, I thought, or at least were involved.
Yeah, they went a lot of hots, and that was just short stuff. And when they do the short stuff, you just gotta get a wrap, make sure they go down if it is completed.
So did you keep a little tally last night? How many tackles you were involved in last?
No. It
had been your best game, though, right, overall as a varsity player?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the Barons saw this and that from the Carroll Chargers. And Nick, let me ask you one other question. They put the running back in motion. Were you guys looking forward to some of that?
Sometimes that running back in motion, we didn't know who to go out and cover him, and sometimes we had a linebacker, sometimes a free safety got over there. So I think after a couple times we got warmed up and had it pretty much taken care of.
Okay, we'll talk more about the last night's game, the win at Carroll High School, and of course we got some highlights coming up a little later. Let's take a look at the scoreboard from last night and see how the area teams did. And of course we had a cross-county rivalry with Garrett and Eastside going against each other. But there you can see the final numbers at Carroll last night. A very convincing win for the DeKalb Barons as they take the opening kickoff back and also have 2 additional touchdowns in the very first quarter. And as Ron said, got off to a good start. 49-7 the final numbers in that one. Over at Garrett last night, the first of back-to-back games with the Eastside Blazers. This time it went to Garrett by a count of 26-6. They finished with a 6-2 regular season record. And of course, a lot of people need to realize that their 2 losses were to 3A Power Lakeland and to 4A Power DeKalb. So it's been an excellent regular season for the Railroaders so far. It's been a very good year for the Eastside Blazers, a very young team, and many sophomores and juniors dot that program, and they finished the regular season at 4-4. Also in that ball game, Josh Vanderbosch had a 95-yard kickoff return, certainly one of the highlights for the Railroaders. Angola all over Heritage, an impressive win at Heritage by the count of 36-7. Congratulations to Don Harder and his staff and his team for a 5-3 regular season record. They averaged about 24 points per ball game during this regular season. Fremont capped off its regular season with a win last night. They defeated Prairie Heights by the final count of 35-20, getting their 3rd win of the year. They led 28-0 at half and ended up with over 240 yards on the ground. Also, congratulations to head coach of the Leo Lions, Rick Lightfoot, and his program as they won by a shutout last night in the Allen County Athletic Conference, 21-0, the final numbers there, and they go into postseason with a 5-win regular season. With the Barron win last night, these are some of the consecutive regular season streaks that they still have going that will continue into next year. 3 undefeated seasons in a row, back to back to back, if you will. 25 consecutive home wins. Of course, this was a away game last night, so we start adding to that hopefully again next year. And the last home loss in the regular season was 1990. 25 consecutive NHC wins. Last loss there was in '93. And then 28 consecutive wins overall, and of course that would have been the same loss back in 1993. We move on to the NHC scores last night as the conference finished up its season. Homestead all over New Haven by a count of 40-16. Norwell defeated Columbia City 38-14. And Belmont over East Noble 30-20. A battle there of 2 teams, one trying to stay out of the cellar, both down in that capacity, and Belmont does climb out of the cellar with a 10-point win. And let's take a look at the final standings for 1996 in the NHC. And it'll show the DeKalb Barons front and center at the top of the list, undefeated again with their NHC play. And Homestead in the number 2 spot at 6-1. I think most people that followed the NHC and knew about these 2 teams figured that they were head and shoulders above the rest. And basically that's what it was. DeKalb 7-0, Homestead 6-1, and then Carroll at 4-3 officially, New Haven and Norwell in the middle of the pack 3-4 under 500, and so on down the line. So you look at it in totality, you probably had 1 super team, 1 excellent team, and then the other 6, the way it turned out. And of course DeKalb won the battle between themselves and Homestead back in week number 5, and they won it by 14 points, and going down to the end of the ballgame almost won it by as many as 3 touchdowns. So that gives you an update on the scores from last night and caps off the NHC. Again, congratulations to these guys and all their contributions. Another sterling season of DeKalb Baron football through the regular season. The new season begins, well, it probably has already started for the coaches. It'll start for the players come Monday. We'll take this commercial time out. When we come back, we'll look at the highlight package of the 49-7 win at Carroll High School last night. And there's that quarterback throwing that pass, and that means segment 2 of the Ben Davis Sports Talk Show. Well, the sun has come out this morning. We do have some cooler temperatures, but it does look to be a pretty nice day. Stop on out. to Ben Davis and his staff out there on State Road 8 west of downtown Auburn, and they've got any kind of vehicle you might want, and if they don't have it, you just ask any of their salespeople or Ben himself, and they'll dig it up for you someplace. But they'll find you a vehicle to get you out on the road, and you'll be in good shape. So sunshine, stop on out and see Ben, and tell him Ron and Greg sent you, and Slick Nick and the big guy over here and Blitz Fritz and all those guys. But stop on out and see Ben. Ben Davis Sports Talk Show, segment number 2, and generally we get into the highlights of the big win last night by the DeKalb Barons at Carroll High School. Got a lot of highlights, a lot of good things, and you know, if you're one of the Baron football players expecting maybe one of your plays to be one of the highlights, there were so many highlights we just couldn't quite put them all on, so you'll just have to watch the ball game when the show's over at 10 o'clock. So let's get into the highlight package, and of course it's going to start with the opening kickoff. Carroll won the toss last night, but they deferred to the second half. Maybe not a good decision. They kicked off to the DeKalb Barons, and Dave Schlemmer and the boys and the wedge, and it looks good, Coach.
Everything's nice and tight, and Ryan keeps it in the middle. You know, they have a safety with an angle, and then this number 12 here has an angle at him, and it shows you how well Ryan runs.
Well, that's one thing we've seen all year long, is that when one of your guys is ahead of the field, and even though people have angles, they just smell that end zone, they get there.
Yeah, it was a great job by the whole kick return team.
And conference sack leader Rick Fry, we call him the Renaissance man, gets the job done.
I believe,
here.
was this the 4th down one, Greg?
Yes.
I think so. It was a big 4th down one. You know, they had kind of driven on us, and Rick's come up with those big plays all year, and he just seemed to get better and better as the game went on last night. Played a great game.
Jeremy Sassanell is going to connect here with Ryan Krieger.
I believe this was a 3rd and long, and Ryan gets the first down for us. That might have been our first drive, I think. I think it was like 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7.
And that's another thing that separates the DeKalb Barons from a lot of your opponents, is that your receivers do catch the ball when it's close.
They really do.
Look at the protection here.
Jeremy threw the ball so well last night, and protection was good. Luke just makes a great run. I don't know how far he carried that guy to get in the end zone, but
we'll see this one again.
I think he carried him 7 or 8 yards, and you can see him stretching the ball over the goal line. So, you know, you got a guy that can run, a guy that can catch, and then physical enough to get it in the end zone.
Well, and just wanting to get into the end zone. I mean, I could see that, you know, there were people around him, and he looked like a had lad.
And the protection was really good.
But he wanted the end zone.
You know, the linemen, they get it walled off, and you can see our backs are there waiting, head on a swivel. Jeremy can feel comfortable there, and that's what I was talking about, protecting the quarterback. You know, with Carroll last night, when they send their back in motion, they leave that quarterback pretty vulnerable to the rush.
That's a pretty sight. Boy, oh boy. Great touch on that. Outstanding pass protection. And Jeremy could have used it another couple seconds. I mean, that's how good the pass protection was. And look at Luke.
And you see, he's a good 10 yards. I think he carries him 10 yards.
He wants the end zone. And then he stretches for it.
Luke's very strong. Now he's got it in the end zone. And, you know, you just have players that are giving you that kind of effort, good things are going to happen.
Heck of an effort all the way around, darn near perfect play all the way around, and that's one I know you put together a highlight package at the end of the year to show some of your young people into the future, and you probably will include that one.
You know, the defense seemed to come up with big plays when we needed it all night. A minute ago we saw Rick Fry get the sack on 4th down. There's a situation where Carroll had driven the ball, and Luke comes up with the interception in the end zone. Here's Brad Souls with the interception. Nice return after the interception.
Brad had a couple picks last night. Ryan Krieger got a couple. And Barons had 5 overall, as Nick and Coach alluded to, putting a lot of pressure on quarterback sensing. And a little down shot here. Pete Fussell got you this highlight, and we'll see it a second time. We'll highlight good old Pete.
There's a dive, Rick Fry, and I don't know if Aaron or Jesse was in that time, Garrett, but just a little dive to the left, and Brian goes in just about untouched.
Well, I think Aaron will say you were in, whether you were in there or not, right?
I think Jesse was in there that time.
Well, we appreciate that honesty.
It was a nice job, and
see, Pete Fussell was playing linebacker on that shot, and he was right there. But you're right, Jesse was in there. Yeah. But great blocking. And Coach, you guys defended the shuffle pass pretty well here.
A little shuffle pass. You know, the
Adam Crozier and Jeremy Sassanelli.
You know, our linebackers are usually responsible for that, and Adam Crozier helped out there a little bit too.
Goal line defense. And
never get a lot of guys to the ball again.
That's a chill shot right there. The other team's thinking about scoring, and you don't even get past the line of scrimmage, or maybe you lose on the play. Pressure on Sensing again, and that forces the interception. Brad Souls in the end zone.
Brad Souls for a second pick of the night, so good night for Brad. And you could see some rush coming on the quarterback there, and I'm sure that rush had a lot to do with that play.
Jeremy back to throw here.
And you can see there again, he's got time to feel comfortable. Hits Chad Sunderland on the route. Chad makes a nice catch, and Chad makes a nice run there with the ball.
And let's see that one a second time if we could. I was mentioning on the broadcast last night, teams defensively have to say, what can we do to stop Barnett, the pass routes and so forth. Of course, he's in the backfield some of the time. What can we do to stop Krieger? And Chad doesn't, have his number dialed in too often. I think he's caught 4 this year, but he's got like 160 yards of receiving yards.
Well, Chad's a lot better receiver than maybe we've shown him to be. But, you got probably all-state receivers in Krieger and Barnett. And, when I say all-state receivers, since there's 2 of them, maybe they will, maybe they won't, because they divide their catches. But in our eyes, we know they are, and college scouts definitely know they are. They see the talent, and Chad realizes that and plays an important role for us. Brian Armstrong makes a real good effort to get in the end zone there.
Little cannonball just wouldn't be stopped. Had to do a couple little things to get in.
There we got people in the backfield.
Yeah, white jerseys everywhere.
Kevin Days, Gus Stackhouse have done a good job in the middle of that defense for us all year long.
A couple of defensive tackles getting it done. Jeremy back to throw here. I think this is part of your 2-minute drill, maybe?
Yeah, I believe that was. And you can see our running back coming back and getting a block for us, which might have made the difference in getting the pass off. I thought Jeremy just threw the ball exceptionally well last night. And, Ryan makes tough catches look easy, and he did there.
Well, and he just showed us some touch and showed us some long
Here's some hard running by Pat. He knows where the goal line is, just like Barnett knew where the goal line was earlier.
Yeah, it looked like he should have been stopped at about the 10.
That's right.
He ends up in close to the 1. Now Barron's now you're looking at a halfback pass.
Throw a sweet pass. And you can see Rush coming again there, and Ryan Krieger has a lot of experience back there at free safety, and you can never say never, but he has enough experience where a play like that you hope isn't going to fool him, and it didn't there, and he makes the big play. And good effort to block. Good effort to block that field goal attempt. The defense takes a lot of pride at that point in the game. They're still wanting shutout, and that's how they're playing.
And the Carroll Chargers, as you said, tried to avoid the shutout, and they had a good field goal kicker. He hit 3 this year. And Barron's with another pick right there.
Ryan Krieger with his second.
And Sensing is a tall, rangy quarterback at 6'5", and he threw, 38, 39 passes?
I think 39 times, which was a new school record for us as far as the number of passes ever attempted against us.
And this, I think, was a 4th and 2-inch call.
Yeah, we just, ran one of our base plays, and, they were probably in a short yardage defense and gambling to stop him there at the line, and once he got through, there was nobody left. So Pat made a good job left side. I think it was Aaron and Rick Fry there. They did a great job. Brian Armstrong led through. So, you always see the guy with the ball, and but it's a team effort. We strung out the option. We had a little problem with the option last night, and that was one of the better ones we played, and it's something that we're going to have to work on.
And one thing I noticed, it looked like you strung it out better one side, and the other side they got a little bit of yardage.
Here we got our basically our JV team in. Matt Hawkins makes a real nice throw to Jason Armstrong there. Sits in there, is composed, and I was real happy with the play of these kids again last night, as we have been several times this year.
And they just kept Barron football rolling right along.
Here I thought Jason Armstrong just made a real nice run. And we had Jeremy Hartranift and Aaron on the left side there, and they got him through the hole. And once they got him through the hole, I thought Jason made a real nice run for the touchdown. And it's interesting, on the sideline, the feel you get from the upperclassmen who had played, they like seeing that too.
Aaron, let's talk about some of your blocking techniques. Looking back over the season, and well, let's talk about that touchdown block you just made a little while ago. Remember that?
Yeah, on that touchdown, it was just Jeremy supposed to get the tackle, and I'm getting the linebacker above the tackle, and back's getting the end, and it worked real well, and we broke our touchdown.
Aaron, you prefer blocking a defensive lineman or a linebacker?
Oh, sometimes it's a little more fun to hit the linebackers because they don't see it coming. But the defensive ends are tough to block, and Carroll had really good linebackers last night. Their linebackers were probably as tough, if not tougher, than anybody we had played.
Yeah, especially 39 and 55. Fitch and Holer, both are a couple of good ones. Yes. What is, in the scheme of things, what is one of the toughest blocks you have to make?
I'd say really almost one of the toughest blocks is backside blocks, because if we got a guard pulling and a guy over the guard, it's really tough to get down there and stop that guy from getting the block on the backside.
Aaron, go ahead. Yeah, all right. Aaron, as you look into your career, into the future, do you see some defense in the crystal ball? Or
I'm a defensive end, but with Fry and McBriar and Jesse Garrett, I don't get much work in the games this year.
Well, I wasn't thinking this year, but into the future,
I'd say in the future I'll play some defense.
As long as you just, mow the grass every now and then at home, and those kinds of little things. Help mom make some cookies in the kitchen. That's. And let's talk to Shane here real quick. Well, hopefully we'll get you back this week, right?
Yeah, hopefully.
And things feeling better and so forth physically?
Yep.
And you got a favorite play do you like to run?
No, not really. Just like to get the ball and run.
Just get it and run.
That's right.
And shortest distance to the end zone, right?
Yep.
Well, continued success to you, and look forward to seeing you back on Friday.
All right, thanks.
Well, now, Nick, what if this next team doesn't throw the ball much? Does that mean you won't be in that nickel package, or after your performance, you think you'll be out there quite a bit next Friday? Depends what Coach Cochran says, probably.
I think we put the nickel package in, especially for Carroll, and I don't know if someone gets hurt, goes down, they need someone to jump in there, and maybe I'll be there.
And they know you're there if they need you, or a passing situation.
Yeah.
It's good to have players like that, Coach.
Nick's is a hard practice player. He stands out on the kickoff team all year. He's had an exceptional year on the junior varsity team. Interesting. Nick, we worked him at nickel all week in practice, and being a junior, he's been a leader of the JV team, and he probably, if you ask him, it's probably killing him not being able to play this morning. And there aren't a lot of juniors that have that positive attitude. But if you look in our program the past few years, we've been blessed with a lot of kids that come in their senior year, haven't been a starter until their senior year, and have just done a quality job. On this year's team, for example, our center, Mike Kaduk, he waited till he's a senior year to be a starter. He hung in there, worked hard, even though he wasn't a starter until his senior year, and Mike's just played exceptional football. Look at the middle of the defense. Kevin Days and Gus Stackhouse, they waited behind a couple very good tackles, and now they're playing exceptional football. And sometimes I think those are almost your favorite kind of players, the guys that continue to work hard, that are patient, that don't complain, that wait. Now it's their senior year, and they get in there and they play well. And the year before, Nick Aldemus was the same kind of player. So you really admire those kids that stay with it, work hard, and you really like to see them have success when they do get their chance.
And their day does come, so stay with it. Well, it's tournament time. Let's quickly peer at the matchups. Sectional 11, Class 4A. These are the matchups for next Friday night. And the records, we've got those updated for you. As we look at Columbia City is going to travel up north and west, and they're going to play at Elkhart Memorial. Columbia City with just a couple of wins on the regular season. Elkhart Memorial this particular week in the number 11 spot in the AP poll, just out of the top 10. Plymouth has struggled here lately. Their official record at 3-5, and last two and a half weeks have been really tough on them as they picked up all 5 of those losses. 3 of them, I think, by forfeit, and 2 on the field. So they haven't really won since they lost those forfeit games. So it'll be interesting to see how they respond come tournament time. They'll take on a solid Concord team at 5-3. Of course, those 2 teams that played earlier in the NLC conference. East Noble and Wawasee, the teams have had tough years, both at 1 and 7, will play each other at the bottom bracket. And then Goshen is 5 and 3. Of course, they've played against Plymouth, defeated Plymouth, lost to Concord of those teams in the sectional, and they'll come to Cecil E. Young Field. And quickly, winner of that sectional will take on the winner from sectional 12. These are just the records updated as best we could. We don't have all the scores in, but there are 2 state powers there. Delta, rated number 9, still undefeated. Number 3, Fort Wayne at 6 and 2. Carroll is leveled out at 4 and 4 officially, 6 and 2 on the field. And then Belmont, Peru, Logansport, Elmhurst, and Concordia have had some struggling years as we work our way down. So that's the way it looks. And we'll take this commercial timeout, and we're going to talk some more football when we come back. Jim Hummer's got his Eastside Blazer senior captains with us this morning, and we'll talk Blazer football, and we've got some highlights of their ball game last night. When we return, we want to thank head coach Ron Cook and Aaron Cook and Shane Turner, as well as Nick Schumann. Thanks, guys, and congratulations on a job well done, and now it's time to start the next job. We'll be right back.